Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome everyone once again to the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky. With me as always is the maestro of mail order mysteries and owner extraordinaire of houseoftheunusual.com, Eddie Guevara. With us again is the horror magician, Chuck Caputo.
Hey, all right.
Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. All right. Before we get started today, real quick, we are going to just talk about our friends of the House of the Unusual and some people that in our community that you could take a look at and hopefully support. Because they are friends and they are part of the community. So we want to see them grow. So first off, we have Stupid Comics Magazine. And I am super excited about this because I have issue number 4 on its way towards me. There are 5 issues total, 0 through number 4. Number 4 just came out, I believe, a week ago or so. And what this comic is, it's like a mashup of Mad Magazine, Cracked Magazine, Far Side, in black and white goodness, and it is absolutely hilarious. They have several different artists and writers in each issue. It is absolutely fantastic, and you can find that at stupidcomicsmagazine.com. And as always, stupid is spelled Stoopid. All right, next up we have Dave Haversatt's 1878 Press Company, and that's at 1878press.com. And he has a ton of great books in there on magic, Houdini, just different stuff on the psychic mafia, encyclopedia of mentalism and mentalists. What else does he got in there? Some books on S.S. Adams, just a ton of great magic, mentalism, mail order stuff. This is the place to go. Head over to 1878press.com. And if you are of the underwater sort, check out seamonkeys.com, sea-monkeys.com for all your underwater sea monkeys needs. They have a ton of stuff there, and they are always coming out with some new products. There is the executive supersize Sea Monkey Suite. They have postcards, starter sets, just a ton of stuff. And I seen something cool today that I really, I think I might have to order. It is a light up Ocean Zoo aquarium cover. So you can replace your cover to the aquarium with a light up and see your little sea monkeys swimming around. So very cool. They're always coming out with some different stuff there. They even have some shirts. The limited edition mug is sold out, but we're going to pressure our buddy Todd Machin to hopefully put out another round of those mugs. Also support our brother Chuck Caputo on YouTube. You could check out his newest videos under Sherry Caputo, and that's spelled Cheri Caputo. Head over there. Chuck got some great magic videos, so check that out on YouTube. And if you're perusing around YouTube, also check out House of the Unusual, where we have some awesome videos going up every week. All right. Also, I was just seen today on mymoviemonsters.com is Scary Monsters number 123. The Harrowing Haunted Halloween issue is out for pre-order. Should be shipping sometime around mid to late September. I also just updated the houseoftheunusual.com website under the blog with the information. And once again, just like last year's Halloween issue, it is a glow-in-the-dark cover, and it is absolutely beautiful. And my article in this one will be on the movie Poltergeist. So definitely check that out under mymoviemonsters.com. And that's it for our friends of the show. And I just want to plug real quick before we turn it over is that I was going to start it this week, but I think, just to I want to make sure it's really good for everybody out there in podcast land is I'm going to start a little section that's going to be called Crypt of Classics. And it's going to be about 5 minutes after the announcements, and what it's going to really entail, what I'm hoping is that every week I want to introduce a new classic horror sci-fi movie to the audience. So maybe you're out there with, yourself or your friends, your family, you're your kids, and you're looking for a movie to watch for that week, a classic horror sci-fi, and you just can't figure out what to watch, because you've seen them all, or you have a huge collection and you just can't decide on which classic to watch. Well, don't worry, I got you covered, because every week I'm going to introduce a new movie, give you a little breakdown about it, and hopefully it's one that you'll be able to watch. I'm going to hopefully keep it in the wheelhouse that, you'll be able to find it, on YouTube or Netflix. And if not, most of those classics you could find on, Amazon or your local store for a few bucks. So I got you covered if you need to watch a classic movie. So that'll be starting next week, a little segment called Cryptic Classics, which will only last about a few minutes after our introduction and our announcements. So after all that, all right, who do we got? All right,
Okay.
We have Robert just joined us.
Robert joined us. Surprise, Mr. Robert. You there, Mr. Robert?
Is it Roberto or Robert? Which one did you want?
Roberto, whichever you like.
Roberto.
Joe, he's telling me I can't make noise here. I feel like I'm back in fourth grade.
You have to raise your hand before talking, Roberto.
Isn't this like fourth grade? We just goof around. We do what we want.
Absolutely. Yeah, why not? This is the house of the unusual. So hey, we do what we want. So Roberto, before we turn it over to you, we're going to go to Chuck and see what our brother Chuck Caputo has been up to lately. So Chuck, how you doing?
All right. Hey, pretty good, guys. It's always a pleasure coming back. We're working hard on the magic tricks. Eddie's working on the packaging, and he always does a great job. I mean, this is really looking good. And I came up with a bunch of effects for the magic kit. You know what I mean? So I've been hand fashioning a lot of these effects. Like a shrunken hand. There's a little head. It's actually a shrunken head that floats behind a cloth. He dips down, comes back up. It could be passed for examination. The first effect was the monkey's paw, I meant to say, and it's a really cool effect. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be in the kit, and then some things sold separately. Yeah, so it is coming along very, very well, and I'm looking forward to Eddie's packaging, and I'm looking forward to your face on these boxes, Joe. You always do a good job on there.
I think that's what everybody's looking for, is my face on the bike. Screw the packaging and the magic. They just want to see my face. So
I'm telling you,
they're gonna get a chance. But no, those magic kits, I mean, they've been coming out, spectacular. I mean, we've done the few videos, where you've introduced the tricks and all that, and they're just fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to some of the little stuff that's included. You like the monkey's paw, the monsters, and all that. I mean, it's just really cool. So even if you're not a fan of magic, buy the kits and just collect them. I mean, after a while, you're gonna want to dig into them and see what the magic's all about. So we'll definitely be updating you on that, and I'm sure Eddie's gonna talk more about that. So Chuck, welcome, and thanks again for joining us. And
yeah, no problem.
Roberto, you're the late comer. I see you've raised your hand and you wish to speak. So what's up?
Well, I always feel honored to be able to join you guys.
The honor is truly all of ours.
You guys are the master of minutia.
So what's new? What's new over in your neck of the woods?
Oh, in my neck of the woods, I'm always trying to save humanity. So it's kind of a busy job, but I'm doing the best I can. One person at a time.
Well, that's good, and we really want to commend you to all your efforts and everything that you do in trying to make people feel better and all that. That's definitely a commendable profession, more than what we do.
We want them to get healthy too.
What's that?
We want to try and get them healthy.
Absolutely. That's the key, man. Keeping people around for as long as possible so that they could continue to support House of the Unusual in our upcoming match series. So,
of course.
Absolutely. So, Eddie Guevara, what's up, brother? How's it going over in Jersey?
Well, everything's going fantastic. Earlier today, I actually stopped by the doctor's office there, and he was filming with another friend of ours that will soon join the group. And his name is Andrew, and he is the president of Local 621. And, they were kind of like, it's very interesting. They were doing a cooking channel, which Mr. Roberto there owns, and they were cooking and filming. I thought it was a great setup, and I see a pretty good future there, especially for people and our listeners. They want healthy tips. They want to be able to eat healthy and all that. That's coming along because, hey, we need to live on to have House of the Unusual keep running. We need all people to be an all or
So in healthy tips like eating, you would like a nice cold beer and a hot dog and a French fries, stuff like that, right?
Of
Oh,
course.
you forgot the potato chips.
The potato chips. There you go.
And then the ice cream too. How could you live without it?
Ice cream with chocolate over it, all that stuff. You got to throw a banana in it to get your fruit.
Yeah, it definitely.
Tonight we made healthy chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh, there we
go. Oh my God! Listen to this. The doctor gives me a box of chocolate chip cookies. I get in the car, and they were pretty good. I mean, his wife is a hell of a cook. I got to tell you, I've never seen anything better. And I ate the box of cookies, like literally ate the whole box before I got to my house.
What actually happened? He stopped by. We were setting up for the show. There were 4 boxes of cookies, and then when he left, there were 3 boxes. So yes, kind of in a way, I did give it to him, but he wasn't meant to eat.
The whole moderation thing went out the window, right?
No. And then he didn't even share it with his wife and his daughters. I don't know. It was a little extreme.
Yeah, that's funny because a few years ago, and I haven't had a donut in maybe probably 5 or 6 years or so. But
wow,
oh my God!
Before
I thought Cobb ate donuts on Stakeout.
No, never, not me. As much as I miss them, I haven't had them in probably that long, 5 or 6 years. But we used to go.
On, Joe, say the truth, Joe.
Yeah, but I tell you what, we used to go to this local farm, and they made they're known for their homemade blueberry donuts. I mean.
Oh my God! All right, we got to take a road trip. We got to check these out.
I'm telling you, people eat them by, the pairs. They're so good. I mean, you could put down 4 or 6 of them and not think twice. They're so good. So
and they're like light as air.
Oh, I'm telling you, they're just absolutely and they got blueberries, so they're healthy, right, Doc? I mean,
how many hours away are you? When do these guys open? Eddie and I'll come out.
Hey, make the trip out here. Hey, 5 hours is well worth it for these donuts, believe me. But if you can find them, because they sell out quick, you got to get there early in the morning. So you have to leave now to get them as soon as they open, because they sell.
You know what we'll do? We'll meet halfway in Pittsburgh.
You know what? I don't know if they'll make it that. Might eat them before.
I gotcha.
So anyway, so we go there the one time. I think it was the last time we were there, and they had 4 of the blueberry donuts left. So grabbed 4 of them, and I'm walking around with the box. And my wife wanted to look at see what else they had inside the shop there, because they had all fresh produce, canned goods, all, the whole 9 yards. So as I'm walking around, I could just smell the blueberry donuts, and when she wasn't looking, I'm eating them. So we get to the cash register, and she's going to pay for her items, and she goes to grab the box, and I hand her the box, and she looks at me, and she goes, "There's nothing in here." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what happened to them." The lady at the register's laughing, she's laughing. I'm like, I don't know what happened. There was 4 donuts in there. She's like, "You ate all 4 of those?" And I'm like, I was smelling them. I couldn't help myself,
Hey,
there must be a record with these donuts.
I'm telling you, they are people go there specifically for those blueberry donuts. They are absolutely fantastic. And they got blueberries, so they're healthy for you. That's I mean.
Hey, if you guys want to talk about health, I'll give you something that happened today. I know that Robert's a doctor. He can appreciate this. I had a colonoscopy today, so I don't know how this. Yes, I don't know how this would segue from donuts to colonoscopy, but I get them done every 5 years because colon cancer does run in my family. My dad passed away from colon cancer. His sister had colon cancer. So I've been getting them since I was 38, 39 years old, and I'll be 58 soon. So
you're a brave man. Oh my
God. Yeah. I tell you what, the prep is the worst, Robert, as you know. I mean, drinking that stuff is just unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. I've been putting this off for a couple of years now.
Yeah, so I got it. Thank God everything turned out okay. You know what, though? But I would like to stress to all the listeners out there, I think they recommend 50 to start getting it done. So it's something, if it's at all possible, try and get it done. If it does kind of like run in your family a little bit like mine, try and get it earlier, But I tell you what, it was an experience, man. So I'm glad I'm done for 5 years now.
Wow. Could you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor there, Chuck? Maybe see if you get Ed in the operating room. We need to do one on him.
Hey,
I've already
did
given
that,
him
buddy.
20
you can entice
prescriptions.
him with a box of cookies. Come on, Eddie, come on, get your cookies here.
It's funny. You can see there's got to be some for brain fog too. Here I'm calling Andrew. I think I gave him some last name before, which I'm glad is not his.
Yeah,
We don't need to.
People out there tune into us, for our magic, our pop culture, Miller novelty. So far, we've talked about blueberry donuts and colonoscopies.
Hey, it's a good start.
Yeah, let's
try
to segue
I
into.
think you got to expand your audience a little bit. There are some people there who need help.
We're gonna have some colonoscopy questions up
Wait.
on.
I got a question. Listen. We got to get cleansed from all the mail order fraud we grew up with.
Yeah, really. That's what we really need.
They really gave me the colonoscopy 3 to 4 weeks for delivery for something that was basically 3 days away. Hey, one of the greatest things though that I really was today, and I was talking to Chuck earlier, is the fact that we're almost finished and we're actually launching live. We're going to go live next week on the 2nd. That's the 2nd, which is, I believe, Thursday. Am I correct, Joe?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go live on StreamYard, and Chuck is going to be demonstrating the first of, I believe it's 8 or 9 magic tricks that are being introduced. And right after that, we're working now, as Chuck was mentioning, on a professional magic kit. It's going to be a first for House of the Unusual, and I want to see if I could introduce that probably late September, early November, for Christmas, for those people that want to give gifts in Christmas to their families and stuff. And I've been working on the art. I've been working on on a lot of things. Quite frankly, I don't even know if there's that many hours in a day, but that's one of the things that's going on now. And I hope that anybody who's listening next week, they can tune in right after the podcast. You're going to watch it on YouTube, though. It's going to be live on YouTube, Facebook, and I believe Instagram. All three are going to be broadcasting it live. And the time that I put for that, I believe, is 9 p.m. I need to, I'm going to there's going to be a commercial, actually, a couple of days before, telling people what time and day it is. But look forward to watching it. It's going to be very great. And Chuck has put out, Chuck is phenomenal in what he's done. He's basically running House of the Unusual right now. And you know what? And I hope we can start reaching younger people out there. Most of our fans are between 40 and 59, which is, I would say, 80% of our fans. So when we speak of health, like the doctor here explains, we need to keep our people healthy because we're up in age. We're not as young as we used to be. And, that's a good thing to have the doctor on anytime he comes on.
Absolutely.
Very welcome. Now, Doc, I have a quick question as we now talk to what we're supposed to be talking about, the crazy stuff. Today, Andrew said to me, "Hey, Eddie, I heard when you guys were talking about Coney Island and stuff." And he said, "Man, I wish I could have said something, when he was listening." And I know that me and the doctor here, we grew up in an area of New Jersey where when we were little, we would go to Two Guys, and Two Guys had these original video games and stuff. We would play there and stuff. What can you remember those things, Doc?
There was the rifle game. You shot at the target. And then there was one you sat in a car. You moved around with it. What else was there? They might have had skee ball there, too.
Oh, I love skee ball.
Yeah, skee ball's cool. I love it.
When you said the one with the car. Isn't that the one you sat in the car? You had a shift, but then the car had a little stick, and on the stick was a little plastic car, and the back would move. And
right. It would move around like on a rotating some kind of spin wheel or something.
Yeah, the road would be like a cardboard paper that would go up and down,
right.
And when you crashed, you would have a light underneath the cardboard and go.
Oh man, you know what that just reminded me of? And Chuck, I'm sure you remember Hill's Department Store, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I don't know if you guys had it out in Jersey, Hill's Department Store, because it was kind of more of a localized store.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that we had here in Youngstown, right out front, and we used to go there. That you went there for everything. Right out front, they had one of those little rocket rides where you would put a quarter in
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was like a rocket. It
Okay.
would go back and forth. Oh man, I love that thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
That
that
was
was
so cool. I mean, for a little kid, 4 or 5 years old in the 80s, that was like, that was it. That was the thrill of the week.
Let me ask you a question. Do you remember the rocket ride? Now that you said that, we used to go to Coney Island and stuff, there was like a big giant rocket about 10, 15, 20 feet long, and you get inside and then it would go sideways and then stand up straight and come back down. Do you guys remember that ride?
I think I do remember something about that vaguely. Yeah, I do.
What about you, Joe, or you, Doc?
I don't
I don't
recall
remember that.
anything like that. No.
We didn't make it out to Coney Island too frequently.
Where did you go the most when you were little?
You said about two guys. There was a place a couple blocks away. It was called Kiddie Land. It was like a small amusement park for kids, and was open from like April to the end of October. It was there's all apartments. There was a pizza place. It was right behind that. It was called Uncle Sam's or Pizza USA or something.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
yeah.
It wasn't too far from when that McDonald's is. Now there's all apartments there, but there was
Well,
a little amusement park there.
that little amusement park you're talking about, they passed me by it, but they never took me there. I know
You
what
saw
you're
it. It
talking
was
about.
called Kiddie Land. It was like
Well,
Palisades Amusement Park. It was open like from April to the end of September, October, something like that. That was an incredible place. So
how many
anybody from
times you
this
went
area
there?
knows about it.
How many times you went to Palisades Amusement Park?
Well, that was a big deal to go there. That was a huge deal. They had everything there. You just spend the whole
Well,
day there. It was like a major
actually,
hangout.
it was, but what really made that place so famous was it had the biggest or the largest saltwater pool in the
The
country, I think.
swimming pool, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You remember that? There was like sand. It was basically a beach in the middle of,
Wow, cool.
Cliffside Park, New Jersey, which is crazy.
And this is in view of Manhattan. You could see all of the skyline of New York from there.
You could, but when you were coming from New York and you looked over to New Jersey, it was gorgeous, man. You would see the entire, because right off the cliff, since it is on the Palisades Cliffs, right by the George Washington Bridge there, you would see the entire Palisades Amusement Park sign. It
Wow.
would light up the entire cliff because it was right above, and the sign would actually dip down into the cliff. Most people that probably are not aware of Palisades Amusement Park, if anybody picks up an old DC comic, especially with Superman, you'll always see that you can get free tickets to go to Palisades Amusement Park.
Hey, let me ask you guys, when growing up and you were young, because you guys had a lot of amusement parks out there, and they were real big, around here too in the 80s and early 90s. Was this like a yearly thing that you guys went to, or was it a monthly thing over the summer? How often did you guys usually go to these parks? I remember we had Geauga Lake and Kennywood near myself and Cedar Point,
Right,
a little bit
right.
farther, but maybe we went to those once every 3 years, 3-4 years. It was like Dr. Roberto said, it was a big deal to go to these things, and it was few and far between. So how often did you guys go when you were young?
Well, you mentioned Kennywood. Yeah, that was the main park around here, guys, and we'd go twice a year. You know what? We'd go on the Italian day. You know what? Because we get spaghetti and stuff, and then for some reason my family liked lamb also to eat lamb, so we'd go to Croatian day. So we'd go to two twice a year. And man, I'll tell you what, we look forward to it. It was great. We would pack up some food, but then we'd buy some food there too. Then we'd ride all day. And back in those days, this is probably the early '70s. I mean, the prices were, I mean, like they didn't have all day ride passes per se, but you would buy your tickets. And if you bought $6 worth of tickets, that was big. It was like, whoa, you got $6 worth of tickets.
Well, Coney Island used to have what was called POP, pay one price. And if I remember, I think it was $5.95 or $10,
Hmm.
and you wrote everything you wanted. But one thing I'm going to answer to you, Joe, is a lot of times you didn't have to travel to the amusement parks because 90% of the time, especially in New Jersey, in this area where I live, and I'm sure Roberto here will tell you, there were carnivals that would come every single summer, and they would come to your schoolyard. They come to,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
there's always carnivals all around New Jersey.
Oh
So
wow.
even if you didn't go to the amusement park, you can go to the carnival,
Hmm.
and those carnivals, were fantastic. All of them had the Wonder Wheel. A lot of them, yeah, they failed to have dark rides, and when they did have the dark rides, I got really excited because I love all those, the haunted houses and stuff.
See, we
But
didn't have the carnivals, but we did have a lot of like church festivals, but you would only be very limited on the kind of rides. You know, you would of course never get any dark rides at a church
Right.
festival, but you would have, the very small, rides. I could remember a carnival coming through maybe once or twice. Just, same with the circus, but mostly it was, every year, of course, we would go to a different church festival, but they were just the small regular rides.
It'd be small, yeah, small stuff. Did you guys have like county fairs and so forth? Because throughout the Pittsburgh and tri-state area, I've actually performed at a lot of the county fairs, and and some are big, some are small, and they'd have rides at the bigger ones. And the thing I hated the most when I do shows there, they didn't like you to leave. You know what? Yeah, like until the place closed because they didn't want
Yeah.
you driving by the midway. So I had a heck of a time getting out of there, man. It was like, oh, it
I
was
tell you what,
crazy.
we used to have this Canfield Fair. It's a real big county fair.
Oh, sure, that sounds familiar. Yep.
Yeah. So we had a back in the 80s, we had a cousin that lived right behind it. His backyard led into the fence of it. So we used to always sneak into the fair when we were real young. And I at that time it was always a nice mixture of games, rides,
Absolutely.
food, and then they'd have different shows and everything, and all your farm stuff. But it's over the years it's mostly more food now. But I distinctly remember one of the rides, and I was so excited. For years I wanted to go on, and I was finally old enough, or tall enough to get on this ride. What it was real small, and it was like this little train track that went in like an oval, and as it went in the oval started rotating. So as
Oh,
you're going around it, you're also going, vertical and horizontal and all that. I'm like, man, this is so sweet. I'm finally tall enough to get on it, and I'm standing in line, and there's maybe about 10 people in front of me, and some girl yacked on the side. And I remember them getting off, and people covered in vomit, and
oh
they had to
no.
shut it down and spray it off. And my parents didn't want to wait around. I'm like, oh, I'm finally old enough to get on it. And you know what? I never did get on that ride.
well, you can get on it now, Joe. You just got to find it.
You know what? I when I went there a few years ago, maybe it's been a while since I've been there. Maybe about 10 years or more. But I looked for that ride there, and they don't have it. They really dwindled down the amount of rides they had, and
Yeah.
sadly that wasn't there because I would have definitely jumped
Well,
on it.
well, the one good thing, Joe, is you're definitely tall enough to ride it now, right?
Yeah. I hope so. Unless
What we did have was we had a beach house, so that we were very close to Asbury Park, and there was a whole amusement park there that was open. I think it was open most of the year, but we would go pretty much on the weekends, and it had all the big stuff. They had a Ferris wheel, like they had these bumper cars, they had water bumper cars, they had a merry-go-round where you catch
I
the
love
rings. So
merry-go-round.
we
And
would
the
all head down there on a Saturday night, and our fathers would come with us, so they paid for everything, and that
I'm
was a
gonna
big.
tell
And
you
there
what,
was a boardwalk there.
yeah,
there's nothing better than a like a vintage merry-go-round with the carved horses, and
Oh, they're great. They're
I mean,
great.
there's nothing better than those just sitting on that. It's not a thrill ride. Kids nowadays, they want the thrill of everything. But man, if you find a vintage merry-go-round with the carved horses and everything, and just sit on it and relax, listen to
Oh,
the
they're
music.
beautiful.
hey, you know something?
Very
I'll tell you guys.
revitalizing.
Yeah, it is, Joe. But I'm going to tell you something, and I know the doctor here knows. You know that up in the Paramus area, Doc, where they have Van Park, they have the merry-go-round that I believe used to be from Palisades Amusement Park.
Is it Van Zorn Park?
Van Son, yeah. I think they put it there.
Okay.
I think, I'm not sure, but I'm almost sure that I read that they actually acquired it, and they had it prior to that in Keensburg for many years. But you know what, Doc, one thing I want to say to you is one of the greatest things, because not too many people went to Asbury Park, or people remember because they closed it, way back in the early 80s, I think. Asbury Park, my favorite part about it was the haunted house, the fun house. And
the fun house, of course.
And recently, what's his name? Dr. Saab. We go aliases. His name is Tom, but Dr. Saab. He sent me a link of some original footage from the Asbury Park Pier, the amusement park, and all that. And you could see the funniest thing about Asbury Park. You remember Tilly, the laughing guy in the outside?
Right.
Okay.
Painted on the wall, you mean?
Yeah. that guy Tilly, a lot of people are not aware of it, but they said, and I was reading about that was actually the owner of Coney Island, the face, and
Uh,
in the early, steeplechase in Coney Island, whatever, where
wow.
because his name is Tilly, they call him, but that's actually the original owner of Coney Island back in the 1800s. But anyway, the thing that was good about Asbury Park is that it was indoors, so you were there, and the Ferris wheel, of course, went over and up past the roof.
Right,
And
right, right.
I wrote all that. And I remember when I got into Funhouse, you had to go like up the stairs up to a second floor. When you got into the little cart, there was a guy sitting there. He had and I mentioned this in the last episode, I think. He had a big giant rat. It was rubber. He pulled the tail. He said to me, "Be careful with the rats." And as soon as the door bangs open, there's this thing's in the top of the ceiling and it hits you in the head, But
On that Ferris wheel, it would have the name of different towns in New Jersey, so you could try and find the one that had your town on it. That was exciting.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't remember that, Doc. I don't remember that. But let me ask you a question, Doc, because a lot of people don't realize this too. But when we're talking about department stores, just like the vintage amusement parks that we're talking about, which most of them are gone. I think Kingsburg is like the only one that's still remaining open. Do you remember? I don't know. I mean, in New Jersey, I don't think we had any, but you always had Woolworth and you had Woolco. There's a lot of towns that had Woolco. I never saw one growing up in my entire life, and they went out of business, and apparently I never found the Woolco or Woolworth. But the thing that was interesting about that, and especially another thing that was interesting about those people is the people that started Two Guys, the two Jewish fellows, I think, that owned Two Guys. I forgot who.
There were two guys from Harrison. That was
and we talked about that recently. Remember in the last show that we had talked that they went on to become
the real estate company.
Yeah, the real estate holdings. What is it called? Vernado,
yeah,
Vernado, yeah, the largest real estate holdings in the country or the world.
Wow.
And one of the things about it is the fact that they found that instead of they own so much property, instead of having five and dimes like Woolworth, I'm sorry, like Two Guys, it was better to lease the company to other people.
Real estate, right?
The real estate, yeah. Now, one thing I wanted to tell you, where that Two Guys was where me and you used to go when we were little. And when I say me and you, we never met each other that we know of, but we both used to go to the same place.
Right.
That Two Guys later became, I believe it was a Home Depot. The original doors that were on that Two Guys.
Right.
You stepped on, the electric doors, when you stepped on the black canvas and it would go and opened up. You know that those doors were actually taken down about maybe 10 years ago. They still had them there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I actually asked because I had a part-time in the Riverside Square Mall, which is right across the street there. And I used to go there and I said, oh my God, these doors. I said, I remember them. And the store owner that was there, or the manager, whatever, goes, yeah, those doors are the actual Two Guys doors. And
Eddie was hoping to go through those doors and go back into 1962.
Well, no, I was actually hoping to take one home with me.
Go in a time machine.
Show up in the 60s trying to sell people mail order novelties. What the heck?
I think that's what it is. He missed his calling. He wants to go back then. That's what this is all about.
Let me tell you something. A lot of us miss the call. And especially, the craziest thing about it is every time I look back and I'm like, man, if I would have known more.
Oh, yeah.
Like the stuff, we could have been rich. All of us could have been rich.
Oh, my goodness. We could have bought all that stuff and bought hundreds of them and packed them away. It'll be worth a fortune. All these.
Well, we were all innocent.
Novelties.
We didn't know anything.
Yeah, we didn't know.
Look at this. One time in Woolworth. Now, I grew up in Manhattan, Washington Heights. And one
this
time
is a tough neighborhood. I don't know how you survived that. Okay. That's why Jersey, you couldn't survive there.
No, back then, Manhattan, especially Washington Heights, was kind of decent. It was kind of decent. It wasn't bad at all. I mean, it had sections, but it was. But the thing is, there was a Woolworth in 181st Street that one thing eventually did catch fire and all that. But that Woolworth had two floors. On the second floor is where they had all the toys. And I remember one particular year, these are the toys they had there that I'll never forget. And I still remember like if we'll see it today. They had the Lakeside Haunted Mansion game
Wow.
Here they had the deluxe TV Magic set, which was that big giant black box.
Right.
It was a deluxe, and they had the ghost gun from Hasbro.
Wow.
Remember the little ghost gun that
Oh,
you
absolutely.
projected images on and all those three items. The ghost gun was, I think, $10.95. The other, whatever, the Lakeside Haunted Mansion game was, I don't know, $12, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom bought me all three. And then the greatest game I thought, even growing up, even now, I still think it was Gunfight at OK Corral. Do you
Oh, yeah.
remember that, Doc? Or you,
I
Chuck?
don't remember that one. Go ahead.
That's the one that had the two cactuses, and each side had a gun, and you would put a cowboy on your gun, and you had a cactus and a rock, and then it was like a long thing, and you fired at each other, and if you hit the cowboy, it jumped off the gun. You
All
guys don't
right.
remember that game?
Yeah.
Gunfight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. I actually do remember that. So I think my brother, he was 7 years older than me. I think he had that, if I remember correctly.
Oh
Yep.
man, I had that, and let me tell you, I kept it so pristine. And then one day when the gun, because the way it used to be, instead of having like a spring loaded thing, the way it worked is it had steel balls. It would shoot. So you load it through the top of the gun, and then the bottom there was a plastic thing. But
Mm-hmm.
then when you pull the trigger, it kind of forced itself. And obviously after several shots, like 50, 100, 200, 300 times you used it, the thing broke. Man, I was devastated.
Oh,
I
yeah. Hey,
literally was devastated,
hey,
man.
how about all the tin toys, Eddie, at Woolworths? They had the old tin toys. They were like, it came in the boxes, and all the great tin toys that are now very collectible. I mean, they were like maybe $3.95 a piece and everything. They were fantastic.
They
You
they
know,
were
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yeah, my parents bought me the strange change thing down there. You know, where you put the wax pellets in, and they get it. There's a heat lamp, and they grow into different dinosaurs. Then you put them back in the compressor. You turn a crank, and they shrink back into like a big chiclet. It looks like a big cube. And Fright Factory, they bought me the Fright, which I still have. They got me that in 1969. I was 5 years old, and I took very good care of it. I still have it to this day. You know, Woolworths was cool, man.
Yeah,
well.
they had interesting things there. They had like a counter. You could get lunch, you get a soda, you could get a
Yeah.
hot
Oh,
dog.
that
Oh,
was the
that's
best,
right.
man.
Yeah, that's
That was
right.
the
You would,
best.
hey, for lunch you would pop a balloon. Remember, you'd pop a balloon at Woolworths, and
And then
you get a
I,
discount or something.
I think they had pets in there too. Like you could buy a bird or
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
too.
you're
those
right.
things.
And
Yep.
you
And
know
then
another thing, guys? Well, you guys don't remember the thing about that food counter that I used to love. I always got my vanilla egg creams there, man.
Uh,
I would love to get that.
that's
Hey,
a New
Chuck.
York thing, or they have that all over the country. Egg
No,
creams.
they in New York. In New York, they had the food thing. I think I ate once or twice, but my favorite was the one in New Jersey, the Woolworth on Burger Line Avenue in like West New York. Man, I used to love going there. For some reason, the food was really good.
it was
And,
good.
but you know one thing I'm going to say, and especially Roberto, because Roberto and me in the same area here, and we know we're talking about the same stuff. The best part about Woolworth was that you would walk in and you will get this imaginary blood, vampire blood. Imaginary, the vampire blood imaginary selling for like $200 on eBay, and
Yeah.
it was like 49 cents. Who who
So
knows how
Eddie,
many?
let me ask you: did you ever steal anything from Woolworths?
No, are you kidding me? I learned my lesson
I
when I was a kid with
don't.
stealing. One time in
Okay.
Cuba as a young kid, I
Yeah.
stole the onion from my mother's aunt. And
Right.
man, he took one of those old fashioned brooms, like the ones from
Right.
the witches, and pulled the
Right.
thing up, man, and whipped me from my house all the way up there. I still remember as a kid
Oh
jumping
yeah.
up in the air. So I was very careful not to steal after that.
I think it was a lot easier to shoplift in those days. There were no cameras.
There
People
was no
didn't watch you.
cameras. Yeah, no
No,
It was a big store. You could shove stuff in your pocket
no,
and go.
no. You know what? It was easy that they did do in Woolworth. That okay, I'm guilty of that. That sometimes you change the price on things. Like I
Oh yeah, yeah,
you would take anything, put $10 on the 15, and they were. And
yeah.
I remember the only time I ever actually did that is when I came out of I became a photographer. I had this degree, and when I came out of school and I had the degree, I used to practice with enlargers, meaning I did my own
Oh,
developed.
right. He had that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they had an
In the
enlarger
dark
that
room.
was like, yeah, and the enlarger was like $89. That was a lot back in 1980
Of
something.
course.
So I went and I put, I think, $39.95. Got it. But of course I lost all that in a fire that I had because I had a lot of camera equipment.
Woolworth's
Eddie's
also
still doing that, but it's not $39.95. He goes up now to $159.95.
You know
Woolworths
what?
also carried a lot of the SS Adams stuff at the counters that bring the products in, and they would hang it. They'd be in the blister carded type of packaging, and they would be hanging on the little hooks when you check out. I remember they'd get shipments of SS Adams, and that looked really cool to a little kid. They really did.
You know something, Chuck? It sounds crazy. In New York City and in New Jersey, SS Adams was not found in Woolworth. Where you would find SS Adams, say for example, you went to the George Washington Bridge,
Yeah.
there was a gift shop in the George Washington Bridge on the second floor of the
Oh,
state.
I see. Yeah.
And on the gift shop, in the window, they had like a big giant cardboard and it had all the novelties, but one thing they never sold, which is bizarre, they sold the King Tut's mummy, all the stuff from SS Adams. And I always used to go there to buy my stuff, but the thing they never sold was the Joy Buzzer, or they didn't sell the X-ray glasses, which is bizarre. Made me wonder why they never actually did. But you know what's so funny is one time I'm walking on Broadway, because I lived between Broadway and Fort Washington at 173rd, and I'm walking on Broadway and with my grandma, and I walk into this Chinese store. See, because all those 10 toys were actually, you always had Chinese people selling them outside in the street on Broadway. Yeah. And that's where I used to buy the robots that right now they go for thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
You get it for like $5, fine. But anyway, I went and I seen a Joy Buzzer, man. Oh my God! I told my grandma, Mama, Mama, it's 50 cents. Can I buy it? So she actually buys me one, and I take that home. Now, the Joy Buzzer they sold me is the Chinese version one that comes with the blister, not the blister pack. It was a little plastic thing, and then the little thing on top stapled on.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? The old fashioned. And I took that sucker, man. And you know what the saddest part about it was? After I used it 2 or 3 times, it broke.
It broke, yeah.
It broke because the Joy Buzzers were the worst. The only Joy Buzzer, and this is so funny because I told Dave too about SS Adams with their deluxe Joy Buzzer. The Joy Buzzer there was no company that can make a Joy Buzzer that wouldn't break after 3 or 4 uses.
This was the thing. It had like a ring on it. It went on your finger, and then there was a little button you pressed on it.
That's correct.
Okay. But where were they made? They were made in Japan, no?
No, they were never made in Japan. They were made in China, I think, or Hong Kong. You know what it is?
Maybe Hong Kong. That was it.
Yeah, the Joy Buzzer, when it originally was invented by SS Adams. SS Adams, what made it very popular, I think, is one of the presidents. I don't know who the heck it was. Dave said the story one time, and I forgot right now. I don't know if it was J. Edgar Hoover or something. The one during the Depression.
Okay.
He took the Joy Buzzer one time and he gave it to somebody. He did it to somebody, and there's a story about the Joy Buzzer that helped America come out of the Depression, or because it was at a time when people were sad.
Sure.
And there's a story. The story of the Joy Buzzer is very interesting, but the thing is that here's the thing that would happen when you would buy the Joy Buzzer, the regular Joy Buzzer from SS Adams, you would get the 2 versions. You got the deluxe one, which is the one that they made. The only problem with the deluxe is that it sounded better. Their mechanism would break after several uses too, and then the top had a little plastic thing attachment to it that would pop off. You're like, what the heck? And I remember when I had my magic shop, man, I got so many returns. It was crazy.
It was crazy,
and the kids, no, I can't return after the second. But then, and this is a company that basically ripped off the idea of SS, because I think this company, everything that they did, they kind of took a lot of the information. And I'm talking about like Loftus Novelties, for example.
Right.
But Loftus Novelty had an anti-wind mechanism on the thing that would not break the winding. Their Joy Buzzers are deluxe. Like they are just a standard Joy Buzzer. You can use it 1,000,000 times and it will never get overwound. Because let me tell you, man, when you're a kid and one of those things break, holy cow, man, that devastated me.
Oh, you'd be disappointed, sure.
Oh my! Now, Doc, do you remember when we were? And I'm saying Doc because I'm here, you, Chuck, and me, because we're all the same age. There used to be, especially in 5 and dime stores, they would sell, I think it was Woolworth, a little gumball machine, like the gumball machines you put a quarter in, but it was like a little plastic bubble. And then,
Oh, okay.
and it
It
had
went
a
on a
slide.
countertop. Yeah.
Right,
All
right. But
plastic, right.
no. But
It
this was
took
about,
pennies.
right. It took pennies, and you put the penny on this little thing around it, and then you spinned it around the thing, and then the gum would come out.
Oh, I remember
Right.
that. Yep.
Okay. That particular one, I bought one time, and I got so excited. Go home, and it was broken. I go back, exchanged it, and then it was broken too. The other one they gave me, so I go back again. Now the store that I went to, this was not called Woolworth. It was called Wadsworth, WADSWRTH, and it was very popular in New York City. And it was there, oh my gosh, for years. You know that the manager didn't tells my grandmother, no, or my mom, I forgot who took me, no, I can't exchange it again.
Wow.
They just gave us back the money. I went out of there and I felt like crying so bad. I wanted that thing so bad. And it's funny because now as an adult, I've seen a couple of those original,
Mm-hmm.
and I bought them just because as a kid, I was devastated with it, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, Woolworths carried a couple things too, guys. The Uncle Sam cash registers. They'd always have those in a box. I think they were like $4.50 back in the early '70s. They were really cool. So every once in a while, I'd go in for Christmas, and they always had the coolest art supplies, like that have big sketch pads and stuff. The one thing that really that I always did when I was a kid was I would draw. What people like most people don't like they don't really know that about me, but I went to an average school district. It was not rich by any means, and so they'd pick a couple kids a year out, and they'd send them to art school. And so I was one of the ones that was fortunate enough to get picked. So I went to art school for a while, and you know what? And it's actually helped me throughout the years because I built a lot of my own props. So I'm pretty good at drawing more like landscapes, cartoons and things of that nature. So the one thing about Woolworths, what I gravitate toward would be the art section, and they'd have these big sketch pads with markers, and it was really cool because I'd spend hours drawing, like as a kid. It's pretty fascinating.
I guess it was an adventure when you went in there because they had so many different
They
things
had a
there.
bunch of stuff. They had everything.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
grew up
but
in Teaneck. We actually had one in my town. There was a main drag, and they had a Woolworths on the corner. So you would go wander in there, you'd find something you want, and then go plead with your parents to buy it for you. What was the thing about the cash register? It looked like a cash register and it had like a little handle on it, and you put the money
Yeah,
in it.
yeah. That's the old Uncle
Oh,
Sam. I'm sure Eddie probably got about 50 of them, but it was the Uncle
no, I
Sam
don't
cash
have that
register.
many. I don't have that many.
and it had a little flap at the bottom where the money was. You
Exactly.
couldn't get into it. Was there a
No,
key to
it would
get it
only open.
open?
It would only open up, Robert, when you hit like $10. I think
I
then
think it was
25.
$10. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so
$10. That's the only time it opened up. I have a couple.
Okay, I remember this.
and I tell you what, it was murder when you're a kid. Putting nickels in there and pennies. It took forever to hit $10, man.
There's money in there driving you nuts. You can't get it out.
You know something though, with all that said, one of the things that a lot of you guys forgot is you would always get those really cheap $1 Halloween masks from Topstone.
Oh
The fun
yeah,
thing about it, each of those masks today go for hundreds of
I
dollars.
I know it's amazing.
The
Oh
plastic mask you're talking about was like a kind of a
Uh,
hardish plastic, but it was
yes,
Yeah.
flexible.
No, it wasn't even hard. It was really soft, rubber like. And here's the best part: Ray Castillas was smart when he was young because he collected those things and kept them.
wow.
Now, Ray
Uh,
Castillo is probably the leading collector of masks in the world. He's an authority on it. And one of the things about him, he's got like one that they used to sell for $1. Mine, mine became a big piece of rubber. But in the comic books, Honor House used to sell it called the Wolfman, but it was
mhm.
called the Teen Wolf. That sucker today, one in good condition, is about $1,400.
Unbelievable.
It's
Wow.
crazy, Doc. And there was another one called the Shock Monster. The Shock Monster with the hair and stuff. That was again. I remember it for $1,
Unbelievable.
$1.50, two
Wow.
dollars, whatever it was in Woolworth. Man, today it's like I'm telling you right now. They're selling. If you go, Doc, you look at eBay. They're selling, and it's been they've sold a couple. Imagineering, the Vampire Blood, little tube that looks like a toothpaste tube.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's $200. for one
Unbelievable.
sealed. And that
Wow.
was like 49 cents because I still have my originals that was open. I still have the tube. I have a couple that are still sealed. There's a lot of collectors for Imagineering, and I just can't believe people will pay $200 for that.
It would be cool to invent a time machine and go back and buy all that stuff, huh? Oh man, and pop back up to 2021.
How long
Well,
will this interest go on for these things that it would bring up so much money?
Doc, it's you got to remember right now. Everybody is my age, your age. We still, the average lifespan is what, 70, 80 years, whatever.
Yeah.
We're in
Well,
our
not in
late
my
50s.
practice. I got people over 100.
Well, that
Wow.
tells you right there that it's going to stick around for a while longer, man.
Yeah, I think it's a nostalgic type of look back. People look back at this stuff when they grew up on it. It was a simpler time. It wasn't chaotic like it is now. You know what I mean? I think it brings back good memories.
I
I
mean,
guess that's what it is.
Roberto, I got a list of people here over the age of 58 or 59 asking
Right.
me to send them toys. That tells
Wow.
you how many, and they're looking for this really bad. Like they get as excited as when they were young. Rob, the thing, and I'm going to tell you, the greatest thing when I was a kid that I really looked forward to was going to that particular Woolworth. And if you remember that the two
Right.
guys we talked about. When I was there, Doc, I remember that right across the where they had the ski shootout, whatever, and the video
Right.
game was the record section. And I'll never forget when I bought my first Disney's Sounds of the Haunted House there. It was
Mhm.
Right.
$1.50. And I took it home, man, and I spent 6 months. I know Joe couldn't believe that I was afraid, but yeah, I told Joe, I spent 6 months to be able to hear it because I was terrified. Those days, man, those days are treasures that we don't get back, man. That
No, you're right.
we
You're
go
right.
back to it, and it's like that's when
Yeah,
House of the Unusual survive.
that's
The
true.
fact
That's
that we have that nostalgia, and I still, isn't this crazy? I bought over 27 copies of that record album. Every time, for some stupid reason, I'll go on eBay and buy one just randomly. The same Sounds of the Haunted House with the orange cover. And
mhm.
inside, when you
Wow.
pulled it out, it had tricks you can do in Halloween. But that
You
record,
didn't you didn't buy any Beatles albums, I take it.
you know what? I do have quite a few. And here's a funny thing when you say Beatles album. I don't remember. I think 2014 or something. I came across a poster on eBay. I think I paid, if I was correct, about $144 for 150. It's a Beatles poster that it is so big that it's 180 inches by, I think,
Wow.
200. It came in 4 sections. And over in my job, I laid it out in the lobby and I took a photograph of it. Doc, I've asked Jimbo, I've asked many people, where the hell did I put that? I can't find it anymore. It probably worth quite a few, but
It's lost. Oh my God.
it's that's the whole thing. Is like when my son says, when you go to my storage facility or you go to where I have my little office, you get lost and you never come out again. Because the problem is it's hard to find the things.
It's like a
I
black
know,
hole.
and talking about that, before I forget, the listeners that we have, the weekly listeners that I want to give a shout out to would be Charlie, Mr. Jim, Mikey T. And I know they're always listening every week to the show. I want to thank them for being there. And I've been trying to get Jim to come on because it's kind of hard because of the hours he's working and stuff, but because he would have so much to say, especially about Woolworth and all that stuff, because we're all from the same era. And he's like,
You have an interesting following, Eddie.
Yeah.
it's well, the whole thing is, you know what, Doc? Let's be honest.
Eclectic.
You cannot, and I know Joe over there is probably has his jaw on the floor, thinking, salivating. Oh, if I could only have been there, if I were. But you know what? It's cool, man. Those days were phenomenal, man.
Oh yeah. Hey, I had a question for you guys. You mentioned we keep talking about Woolworths. Did you guys have GC Murphy's out there? That was pretty popular in Pittsburgh.
No, I don't
Okay.
remember that.
I don't think I did. How about you, Joe?
No, no, I don't know if I've even heard of that.
Yeah, for some reason, GC Murphy's was pretty similar to Woolworths. It was like it was what you'd call a five and dime, the
Right,
classic
right.
five and dime, and they carry pretty much the same stuff. I mean, tin toys, anything from a pocket comb up to like small furniture. I mean, it was very similar to it, around the same time era, and they went out of business probably the same decade also, probably in the early '80s.
People outgrew this stuff. I don't know. I guess you can't even go into a store and go and get all these adventures. They're not even out there anymore.
Nah, nah.
You know, I
Eddie, you better bring it back.
I got to tell you though, and I got mad at this because I've been to Walt Disney like 3 times, and now I'm going to be going next month again. And one of the things that pissed me off is that in California, Anaheim, there's a group of some guy who owns a bunch of Houdini magic shops, I think it is, and Disney no longer has their own magic shops at the thing. But Houdini actually is a privately owned company and whatever, and they've opened them all over the place. Now,
Yeah,
of
sure.
course, I have all the stuff they sell. I don't need to buy. It's just that I like to still go into a magic shop and buy junk. Right in Florida, I don't get it. Not Universal, Walt Disney, Hollywood, whatever you call them. None of them have a magic shop. And the
Isn't that something?
yeah,
Wow.
well, they did have one back in the 70s or 80s.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Back in the early '80s, I went to Disney World on Main Street. They had a beautiful one.
Yeah,
I just
you know what's crazy about it? That same one in Main Street, they still have the magic props on the window, and
okay.
I run inside excitingly looking for it. I'm like,
Hmm.
where's the magic shop? And they're selling T-shirts and stuff. He said, "Oh no, the magic shop closed." I'm like, "What the hell?" I felt like saying, "Why do you have people,
Yeah.
stuff in the window?" That was kind of like
Hmm.
another thing that happened to me. I went to Universal, and then Universal, when you go there, the thing I don't like about it, everything you walk up and down the streets, everything's fake. It's all facets. It's not really stores. And then
Hmm.
I go into this novelty shop where the Harry Potter section is, and
Hmm.
I see an Acme bomb,
Uh,
little round Acme bomb, and I wanted it, right? So it was like $14, and when I'm about to take it, they took it away from me in the airport, man. I was
oh,
so pissed because it said bomb on the box. I go, you know how stupid that
Oh,
is?
there's only one thing from Universal, and it's the monsters, and that's it.
yeah.
Listen, you
Well,
go
hey
to
guys, we're getting down to the bottom of the podcast here, so we're gonna start wrapping it up. And want to thank you guys for joining us. And I really want to spend a second here to thank our listeners. We're over 5,000 weekly right now and growing. Every single week, and it's because of our great guests and the people that come and they subscribe to us on whatever platform they listen to us and giving. And so I want to thank everybody out there that tunes in weekly and listens to us. And if you want to be a
Amen.
guest on the show, you don't have to be a collector or expert or anything. If you just want to talk about this stuff, drop us a line over at House of the Unusual, man, and come on and talk about some things that went on in your childhood with collecting or mail order or comic books, movies, whatever. So there's that. And whatever platform you guys are out there listening to us, please go on there, subscribe to our channel, give us, a good 5-star review if you so choose to, and you enjoy what we're doing, because that only, helps with all the algorithms and all that, and it gets us out to a wider audience. And, as we talked before, we want to keep this going. We want to keep the mail order stuff and all that and the magic. We want to keep it going to a new generation. So we want to keep it, keep it getting out there and reaching as many people as
Amen.
possible. So
You have a very soothing voice, Joe. Oh my
thank
God.
you.
Let me ask you something.
As long as I'm
Were
not
there
putting
magic
people to sleep.
were there magic stores in like every town? Because we had one in our town when I grew up in Teaneck.
No,
Was it very common?
No, I never had one here that I know of in Youngstown, Ohio, growing up, and which is sad. Maybe that's why I never got into magic. But we did have a lot of 5 and dime stores. A lot of small, mainly
Right.
mom and pop type stuff. But down to our last minute here. So Chuck, Dr. Roberto, Eddie, guys, thanks for joining us once again and sharing your wonderful stories.
Hey, it's always a pleasure coming back. It's very nice to meet you, Robert. You're a heck of a guy,
Oh,
man.
you got a good voice there, Chuck.
Oh,
An
thank you.
honest voice.
Thank you.
all right, guys.
So
Yeah.
thanks, guys, everyone out there in podcast land. Once again, thank you for joining us every week. Check out our website at houseoftheunusual.com. Join our forum. We have some great conversations going on there. head over to our YouTube channel, House of the Unusual. Subscribe to it, hit that like button, and tune in every week for new videos. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Everyone out there, keep safe, keep healthy, and
God
we will
bless
see you next
everybody.
week.
Enjoy. Bye bye.
All right. God bless. Take
All
care.
right, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.